we're back, and today I got a really cool dude here doing the podcast. Goes by Drayze, and this guy is doing some very interesting things. And so normally, you know, I kind of have this vetting process about who I'm putting on the podcast, and that's not to sound like an arrogant asshole. That's just, everybody has a direction and an insight for what they would like to do with special projects and things that you care about. And I looked into Drayze, and the guy's doing some awesome stuff. And not only that, I was told that he has a pretty good story behind him. So, Drayze, what's up, brother? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. So, I've seen you got this little web series going on YouTube, Project Drayze. So talk about that, because that's I watched all the videos, and I'm not gonna lie, when I first watched the video, actually I started watching the clip with I think it's episode 4 when you're talking to like that dude with the hat and you're talking shit to him.
Yeah.
And when I first saw that, it was like out of context because I was in a loud place, and I was like, who the fuck is this guy? This guy looks like an asshole. Yeah. And then so when I first initially saw that, I was like, fuck this guy. I was like, I'm not putting this dude on the podcast. But then, I didn't really, I didn't write you off. I was like, I kind of realized I probably took that out of context. I went back and watched the episodes, and I realized this is this character that you developed. So talk about how this started, the Project Drayze, and what your vision was for it, man.
So it's I'm a pretty mellow guy. I'm very chill.
I can see that now. Like, you're nothing like that character.
So pretty much the origins of how it started was I have a friend named Mariano who plays my best friend in the show. The guy with the long hair. And he's a rock climbing fanatic. And he took me to this place called the District right by.
Oh, I've been there.
Yeah, the inside indoor rock climbing place.
They got this weird like cult thing going on in there.
Yeah,
like rock climbing cult.
Exactly. Like there was just so much stuff that was going on, and he takes me to this rock climbing place, and I was like, I do not want to go rock climbing. But he kept begging me to go, and I was like, all right, fucker, I'll go with you. So the time I went, I actually had a blast. And then the time that I went, I was just like, I was talking to Mariano, and then oh crap, sorry about that.
Oh, you're good, man.
I was hanging out with Mariano or whatever, and he was just like, yeah, man, well, you should come rock climbing with me or whatever. And after we were done rock climbing, I met this guy named Ty. And Ty was like a natural rock climber. He always was there. And as we were leaving, he was like, hey man, I'm a filmmaker. Mariano just told me that you're an actor, comedian, whatever. We should make something. And I'm always hearing people say, hey, like, I'm a filmmaker, let's do something. And then like we set up a date, and then a week later,
you think he was trying to suck a dick or something?
I mean, I don't know. He was. I don't.
Hey, bro, I got a camera.
It worked.
You got a dick.
Let's go. I was just like, it worked. I mean, whatever. And so, pretty much from that point on, man, like he was just kind of like, we just started making something happen, and we sat there for about 5 days, and or 5 days, 5 hours, and we just came up with this concept of like, let's be an amateur comic, and let's just make an ass of yourself.
Yeah, just be like overtly brash and confident.
Exactly. And like the thing is, because when he met me, I was just so mellow and chill, and like he was just kind of like, he was even thinking to himself like, why is this guy in a rock climbing? Because I was climbing and I was having a good time, but it was like, it was just not my environment. You know what I mean? But
so did your buddy Mauro know this guy Ty?
Yeah, Mariano knew
from
him.
There.
Mariano knew him from the District because they would climb together. They were just climbing buddies. They didn't really hang out outside of that. And then, not from my understanding. And then,
God, that's gonna be the next fetish, climbing. It's like fuzzies right now, but that's gonna be climbing buddies.
Exactly. And so from that point on, it was just like. We just came up with this concept like, yo man, like let's just make fun of yourself, just become this fabricated version of you and just be over the top. So I didn't know how to do that.
Right.
So I just started watching a bunch of just like
watching a bunch of assholes.
Yeah, like I mean, like Eastbound and Down was one of
Danny McBride.
Yeah, he's a genius.
So
he's one of my favorite actors too. He was definitely that and Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah,
were
yeah,
both
yeah,
those
yeah.
shows. Like we got on HBO. I had already seen the series, but I saw them years ago. And when I started seeing them, I watched them all over again. I bought HBO Go, and it just kind of, I was like, I'm gonna blend these characters in there and kind of make it more modern, and I'm gonna, yeah. And so then from that point on, we just kind of went with it.
And it's cool, and also it's interesting because it kind of, there is truth in it, because you are at this beginning stage of trying to be a stand-up comedian.
Exactly.
So there's like authenticity to it.
Well, I think the thing is that I'm too humble, right? Even as a comic, like I'm too humble. Like I'll have a really great set at the comedy club anywhere that I go, and like whether it's 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is, and people give me, like, oh, you were great, but in my head I'm like, oh, that was dog shit.
Right.
So I'm so used to doing that. So when I had a opportunity to be like, well, how about you just kind of, you're good. You know what I mean? Like, know you're the shit. I was like, at that point, I was like, okay, well, now I gotta not only be confident, but I gotta be an asshole.
Did you ever think, it's funny that you say that, but did you ever think about this dynamic that you were able to put on this overly confident asshole version of yourself, knowing that it was in this structured or this premise that's fake, but in real life we find it so hard and so difficult to be confident about what we are good at and present ourselves as not cocky but confident, and it doesn't, but it fucks with us, right? Like, so you can play being confident because it's fake, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But in real life, if you are really good at something, even if you are really good at something, how much your mind will fuck with that, and it'll tell you like, oh, you're still a fucking loser. You're still,
exactly.
You know what I mean? Isn't that strange?
It's really crazy, and I think that, I mean, that's why people think I'm crazy, but I love Mayweather so much, the boxer, because it's like the guy's 41 years old, and he just was on the Forbes list for richest athlete again this year, and yet the guy doesn't even look like he's ever boxed before. He's so his you know what I'm saying, his his endurance is amazing, his face looks great. He's not like all these other boxers before him that are all decrepit.
It's like a more cerebral approach to boxing. He wasn't a meathead. He was people think that he's not an intelligent person because he can't fucking read, but he's a very intelligent human being, obviously,
for his business as well. And then as on top of that, like, think about all these boxers before him, like, they went broke. You know what I mean? For the most part, you know what I mean? I think Tyson kind of got some millions after he started doing some comedy stuff, but it wasn't until, people forget Mike Tyson was making like $40-50 million at one point.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? A night. You know what I mean? Because
that dude had fucking multiple tigers in his goddamn backyard.
It was crazy. But Mayweather, so he does have some smarts. But the reason why I use him as an example is because he is so confident, and people hate him because of that.
Right.
But I think it's because the majority of people don't know how that really feels to be naturally just confident. And I can. But my thing is, I'm not going to hate on someone who is confident. I'm going to try to inspire to be like that.
Right.
Because I'll tell you the truth. Another reason why it was so easy for me to be this character too was back in high school, I was a fucking asshole. I was a piece of shit and asshole in high school, and and from that point on, after some pretty crazy stuff had happened after I graduated and stuff, and I was in the real world kind of thing, and I was in college, and nothing just revolved around me. Then I kind of started learning, like, okay, now I gotta chill out. You know what I mean?
Right. You get a perspective on how you've been acting, and you change, you grow.
Exactly.
So that's fucking life.
Exactly. So I just kind of like took in my character from high school with some, Kenny Powers and some Larry David, and I just kind of threw it all in there, and it makes for a sympathetic asshole for sure.
It's definitely funny, and it kind of pokes at our natural human tendencies to to, you know, to hate the person more successful. You know, it kind of pokes at it pokes at the viewer's ego. You know, and ego is the fucking devil. You know,
Exactly.
That's the ego is the one that is making you hate on the person that's doing better, making you hate the person that looks better.
Exactly.
And that's what Mayweather taps into. Mayweather's a successful, fucking cocky ass that speaks it. He doesn't ever skip a moment to tell you, hey, I got fucking $500 million in the bank.
But he's earned it.
And titties everywhere.
Exactly. And he's earned it.
He understands the psychology of it all, and that's what you took. That's the approach that you took.
Yeah,
there's a psychological approach to this.
What makes the humor add to it though too is the fact that I haven't made it yet.
Right, yeah, no, that's what, that's what's great about it.
Like I haven't done shit yet, but like I act like I have.
Yeah, you just have the mindset like you're this fucking, like you're the man.
And what we've done is how we write the show sometimes, because it's all improv.
Right.
So we write.
You don't have like an outline.
Yeah, we do an outline, like we do a storyboard, and it always ends up different, but for the most part we follow the direction. And as we're doing it, as the episodes go, I don't know if you caught this, sometimes you have to watch it over and over again, but
the episodes end with you going like showing up, and then it picks up with you.
Yeah,
I'm not even fucking talking in the mic. The episode ends with you showing up, and then the next one begins with the set. Is that what you were going to say?
Yeah, well that, but also it starts to show how human Drayze really is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because like in the very beginning we do that whole thing where I do this fake interview like I'm the shit.
And then you're fucking hating on your buddy for fucking it up.
Yeah, and then like you start to see as time goes on, like, wow, this guy's very human. He's just really passionate. You know what I'm saying? Like he really just wants this. And as much shit as he gives his best friend or his camera guy, which who's also another close friend, they really believe in him too. You know, the underlining thing is they all believe it, or they wouldn't be wasting their time with this guy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And when we did that whole part where I'm actually doing live, like a stand up on episode 2, I'm actually in front of a real crowd. We filmed that set. Yeah. And I was generally making everyone laugh. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so you start to see snippets of what he really does, and you're like, oh, okay, well, this guy has some character. You know what I'm saying? And
so with the first episode where there was nobody there, did you just ask them like, hey, can we film in here while well,
there? See, I was doing open mics there anyways, and I was pretty good. Like I always draw people, you know what I mean? Like I mean not like 100 people, but like, you know, like I'll tell like 20 of my friends to come out, get 15 of them would, plus the other people that already are there. So it's a pretty nice packed open mic.
Yeah, because usually it's just the other people doing open mics.
Exactly. So since I started going there, I started seeing more and more people, because I would always market myself, man. I would talk to these other comics, no disrespect to them, but like, they were just doing the same jokes. They weren't drawing anyone, you know what I'm saying? And like they were wondering why, like, you know. So when I went in there, my mentality was, yo, man, like I'm never going to go in there with the same set. You know like I don't care if I have to write new jokes by the next Tuesday or the next whatever. Like even if they're not good, I'm gonna go in there and like, hey, this is what I'm gonna do. Like, because and sometimes I'll use the new jokes when I go to a new place that I've never been before. I'll use some old stuff that I know is gonna do great. That way, that new owner that I'm in business with, they're like, oh, okay, that guy made us laugh. Okay, of course, I'm gonna have him back. Then I'll start trying new stuff again.
Do you think that you were just? Are you this natural, like, initiative taking, marketing oriented person, or did you think that did you just, much of like this series that you started, you knew what you needed to do and you had to just make yourself do it? You had to change your mindset, you had to switch it up, you had to add some things to ensure your success at a higher percentage, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I think that's with anything you do, right? Like if you're like with you and your podcast, if you don't market this, no one's gonna listen to it. So, and then you said you haven't been doing this, you know, you've been doing it for a little bit, right? But you know, any new challenge you pick up, you're definitely going to be intimidated a little bit, but that's just, the reality of it. So the way I saw it was like, hey, comedy is this next step in my life. It's the big boss battle, right, in my life. If my life was a video game, comedy, stand-up is the
Bowser.
Is the Bowser what I'm doing. So I know I can't beat Bowser head on, so I'm going to do everything I can.
Gotta go through the levels first.
Yeah, well, but I'm also going to bring all the weapons I can, right? And so one weapon is marketing. Right. One weapon is always being prepared. One weapon is being positive about everything, no matter what. Another weapon is like, even if no one shows up, like you showed up. You know what I'm saying? You told your jokes to yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, like, just know that, like, hey, you keep doing that, there'll be 1 or 2 people next show, or there'll be 20, or there'll be 30. It builds. Those are the weapons I take with me to battle against this video game boss stand-up, and quote unquote. And I have not always won. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Yeah, but you start over, and you start over from where you left off. You get your 3 lives back, and you keep going, because that's all you can do. I'll tell you this: the way I got into stand-up wasn't very natural at all either. Yeah. My best friend passed away.
Okay.
Back in 2017 on Valentine's Day, and right before that, I was with this girl. I won't say her name, but I was with her for 4 years. And from 2013, I was about 19 years old, till 2016, and I was about 23. And we lived together, had a puppy, the whole thing. And she ended up leaving me for some rich dude.
Oh.
Yeah, it was pretty heartbreaking. And, we had a pretty nice house, or a pretty nice apartment. Like, we were doing pretty good. I had a marketing company that I had started that year as well. And I was making like $800-900 a week. Yeah. Like, I was doing, you know what I mean, for a 23-year-old, and, a nice place. And she was working at a hospital. So nothing was lacking. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't know where it came from. All of a sudden, before I know it, man, like, she leaves me for some dude who was like 38, and he was like lived in Dominion, and he just like met her at the hospital. I guess she was taking care of his dad.
Oh, isn't that fucking convenient? And
they both spoke. I mean, my ex is Panamanian and Italian. Her number one language was Spanish, and when they met and he spoke Spanish and she spoke Spanish, and I guess she saw the red Porsche.
God damn it.
That was it. I was like, dude, after 4 years, like, I've never cheated. I've never done anything wrong. I've never, I had a little bit of drug abuse with Xanax at times. You know what I mean? I had very deep, dark depression that I think I mentioned to you before. When it came to her, I always treated her like a queen, even if I didn't care for myself, and I thought that was good enough. And then before I know it, she left me, and then literally left me early December 2016. Then my best friend Matthew, who I knew since 7th grade, was like, hey man, I know you're going through what you're going through, but the Royal Rumble's coming January 30th, 2017, and I got us ringside tickets, because that was his way of being like, because we were huge wrestling fans.
Right.
And it was like, I was so happy, you know what I mean? Like, I just got this horrible news, I'm depressed, I'm sad.
Rumble.
And then I hear Royal Rumble, and I'm a kid again, like, I got hard. I was like, oh, yes. Royal Rumble. And he takes me, and we got to meet Brock Lesnar. I got to meet Undertaker. I got to meet Cena. It was crazy, man. And it was one of the best shows. People say that Royal Rumble wasn't that good, but when you were there, it's the difference between watching it and being there.
Live. Yeah. Live. When it's live, I mean, you can watch a shitty band, but if it's live, you'll sit there and
have a good time. Yeah. And plus, there was 50,000 people around us. Like, it was intense. At the Alamo Dome. I mean, it was the first time it being there in 20 years. So it was just this amazing event. And I went, and it was crazy, and we were drinking beers, and we were screaming, and we were just having a great time. And he bought me a shirt, and I was like, bro, like, he spent like $800 on me that night. And he was just like, that was my gift to you, bro. You're my brother. You're my little brother. I love you, man. And like, you're going to get through this. Like, she screwed you over. Like, you're a good dude. Don't beat yourself over this, whatever. And he dropped me off at my house, and then I had talked to him that, And then I texted him a week after that and was like, hey man, I'd like to pay you back. I got $400. I can pay you back in increments. And he was like, nah, bro, like this was my gift to you. Like, I don't want you to pay I won't take your money. And I was like, all right, for sure. Love you, man. Well, when are we going to see each other? And he was like, probably like the weekend after Valentine's Day. I was like, all right, cool. The next week, I'm speaking at his funeral.
God damn it.
Yeah, he died of an undetected heart murmur.
Whoa.
And, yeah, he died in his sleep.
Like a natural death.
And it was probably that destroyed me, man. Because I just lost two people I loved in very different ways.
And also, and what's crazy about that too is when you have it's so funny because women, I'm going to bash you for a second, so get ready. But it's funny because women have this idea about when you're in a relationship, they have this weird idea that they're going to be like one of the guys, or like that the connection you have with a woman that you say you love, that's going to consume and fulfill all these other connections you have with all these other people in your lives. But really what should be focused on is that the more positive connections you have in your life, the better. Yeah. And those different dynamics of people in your life that are adding different things are beneficial for not only you, but your mind, for everybody. Yeah. And so then we have, and I don't want to say just women, that was a joke, so chill out. But I've noticed this too, being in relationships where, like, if you're with a girlfriend, or hey, I'm gonna go hang out with my buddy, and then you get shit for it or something like that, or they get offended. Yeah. And it's just weird because we live in this society where most of these rules and structures that are put into place, we didn't put them there. We just kind of are forced to abide by them. Yeah. So when you're in this, especially an intimate relationship with a woman, a man, whatever you're into, it doesn't matter. There's this weird kind of forceful priority that is placed on the partner that you're with. Yeah. And then it becomes like a tug, like a what the fuck is that game called?
Like a tug of war?
Tug of war. It becomes a blank on that one. It becomes like this tug of war where we should just be happy for our partners, but it's more of this possession game. Like, you're mine, so you can't go do that. You're mine, so I don't like you acting like that or speaking that way. And then it's just then it becomes this really strange cerebral tug of war with someone that says that they love you, which is a fucking weird thing. Yeah. Love, connection, all of these things are finite. Yeah. We all know that. So why the fuck are we so possessive? We should spend more time appreciating these things and appreciating people for what they are instead of what we want them to be. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't mean to make this so much about the past relationship. It's just that
I understand.
I battle with these things. I've had relationships end. I've had friendships end because of like this possessive, controlling nature that is kind of innately found out of this famine mentality that we're all wired to fucking put out there. We think, because we know everything's going to go away. Yeah. That drink's going to go away. It's like, do I want another one? Yeah, kind of, So like I'm kind of holding on to the fucking rest of that drink, and this concept of possession, this does circle around, so don't think I'm not just,
I feel you.
This concept of like this possession concept, this controlling concept that we have, causes us so much pain. It causes so many relationships to end. It causes so many people to fight and act out in hostile ways towards each other because we're so married and attached to this idea of possession and fucking control. Yeah. A relationship. How many relationships girls, I can't even tell you how many relationships have ended with girls because I wasn't doing, acting, speaking, being the person that they wanted me to be.
Yeah.
Well, what the fuck are you in a relationship with me in the first place? You're supposed to be in it because of the person I am, not the person you wanted me to be, you know?
Yeah, because anybody could fill that role.
Exactly.
Because you can mold anybody to become
you
who
could
you
fuck
want
a pillow if you wanted, and that pillow will do exactly what you tell it. You tell that pillow to stay in the corner, it's going to stay in that corner.
Exactly. It's funny you say this because someone just told me recently that jealousy plus lust equals love.
Jealousy plus lust equals love.
Yeah, and
you mean that's like how we portray it?
Exactly.
That's not the
exact. I mean, that's like the modern version of it. Like they want someone they can lay. Some people want someone they can lay with, someone they never feel. That way they're not lonely, right? Someone they can obviously have sex with.
Yeah.
Someone they can spend that time with because you know what I mean. Like it comes down to being lonely again, right?
Right.
And then also, they don't want no one else to have that person.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's just like lust plus jealousy equals love. And I thought that was very interesting. I was like, wow, that's...
Have you ever heard the, I don't know if it's a quote or, I guess you could say it's a quote. Love is not the opposite of hate, it's disconnect.
Oh wow, yeah, I have heard. I heard that a while ago.
So this kind of embodies the point I was making, is that so much pain comes from the fact that we want to control every aspect of our lives and make sure that these things that we hold dear and that we say we love don't go away because we're scared of being hurt. But if you really break down all of this logically or objectively, take all the emotion out of it, if we were just accepting and approaching everybody and everything in the way that they are, there would be no reason to be hurt, because there would be no reason to be arguing about or changing the thing that you're approaching or with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a strange concept. So how I was going to bring this all back is, your friend, passed away, and you felt this pain, and this came from this, and this is not a character defect. I'm saying this is all of us. You felt this possessive nature that, my friend's not here anymore. I'm not going to have him anymore. This fucking dude that did this real solid dude that did something really cool for me to pick me up at a shitty time. Yeah. And now he's gone. Yeah. And it's powerful how fucking strong those feelings can just manifest themselves and just grow inside of you,
Yeah.
And so, I don't mean to go off on these weird tangents, but I mean,
no, I can feel like you've probably had a similar situation. Or not,
I just think
not
too much.
No. We've all been in that situation where like a girl or something like that happens.
We've all exactly. I'm 28, man. I mean that's not old, but you definitely don't get to be, live almost 3 decades without having pain like everybody else. I've had many family members die, family members commit suicide, all kinds of fucked up shit. But I guess the reason why I wanted to make that point was just because that's how I survive things like that, is understanding them and trying to break it down logically and objectively instead of feeling all that, because everyone's going to feel that pain, and you need to feel that pain. You got to let it out. But the way that we survive and move on and understand it and make peace is understanding it, from the foundation up. Like everyone gets so angry and we all fight each other, and there's fucking war and murders and all this shit. But the only reason that those murders and all this terrible negative shit is happening is really just projection. We're hurt, so we got to get somebody back. We're hurt, we got to let people know. And it's a silly thing, and I'm not some saint and you're not some saint. We're not living our lives by the things that I'm saying right now all the time, but it's just a way that I think it's just a tool that it's like to be introspective and to be self-analytical does not just benefit you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you went through this really rough time. And what's crazy is it's so funny because whenever good shit comes, you know, it seems like it goes so fast. But when the bad shit comes, it's like in storms. You know, it's like it's not just one thing. And you know, it's bad things.
Well, my dad always told me that trouble always comes in threes.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Isn't there like a saying about that?
Yeah, my dad taught me that, and he was right, man. Because you know, the tip of the iceberg was, you know, my 4-year relationship's down the drain. And then my best friend died. And then in March of last year, I was diagnosed with congestive heart failure.
Jesus.
So, yeah, that all happened. Like, that was December, then February, then March.
Okay, so you're diagnosed with congestive heart failure. What does that mean?
Well, I always had a weak heart. And since
isn't that kind of weird that your buddy had like a heart
exactly
problem?
No, that's the reason why I was so scared about it. So one day I'm sitting on the couch, I'm watching HBO, and you know, me and my chick had, you know, just broke up or whatever. So it's like I had to move back in with, you know, my folks, which is very embarrassing to say, but, you know, I had to save up.
I had to do it. We all in there.
Yeah, so I had to save up some money and whatnot, and I'm chilling and I'm watching HBO, you know, whatever, and I get this really crazy pain, like, you know, where my heart is, and I'm like, what the hell? And then, like, I get this pain, like, in my left hand. So in my head, I'm thinking, am I about to have a stroke? You know, because that's usually what happens, or like a heart attack or something. Like, this isn't like the numb hand. I heard that one of those things that your hand goes kind of
cardiac arrest.
Yeah. And so my grandfather was for 27 years the head medic in the Army or whatnot, and he knows everything about medicine. So of course I go to him and I'm like, hey, what's going on? He tells me I'm not having anything crazies. I go to the emergency room, I get an EKG, and they tell me that, like, my heart levels are just crazy. You know, it's kind of personal and whatnot, but I go through all these visits to the hospital like every other week, and I go to the heart and vascular place, and I always had heart issues, but it's just gotten really weak as of recently. And I think because of the stress I had as well, and because, like, you know, I'll be honest with you, I was drinking, you know, I was popping Xanax like crazy around that time. I had kind of relapsed after that had happened. I was killing my body, you know what I'm saying?
Well, alcohol and like elevated cortisone levels, that'll do it, man.
Exactly. And so it just wasn't worth it. And so after that had happened to me, I was like, you know what? I've been depressed since I was like a 6th grader. You know, I just suffered through depression. I don't know why, you know what I mean? Kind of could go down back.
So you believe it's on a chemical level, not just like a situation?
Yeah. No, yeah, this has been happening to me for a while.
You have a chemical deficiency.
Yeah, but then this happened, and it just went downhill, you know? And from that point on, I was like, you know what, Drayze, you can either be sad for the rest of your life, and in this situation, I kind of feel like this is kind of justifies why you could be sad for a while. Like, girlfriend gone, best friend gone, health is in question. Or you can use this as motivation, because the way now you see it is that no one's promised. You're not promised. You got a heart condition. Your best friend's gone. His life wasn't promised. And your girlfriend, obviously, y'all's life together wasn't promised. So what are you going to do? This is a conversation I'm having with myself, really deep shit. And I'm thinking in my head, like, all right, I was 220 pounds. I'm 6 foot, I was 220 pounds, 6 foot, 6 foot and a half.
Right.
Overweight, you know what I'm saying? Just like wasn't muscle at all. You know what I mean? I was like, all right, started to hit the gym, started working out, got on Herbalife just because everybody was on it, doing it.
And I don't think that's healthy either.
Really? Well, it worked for me. Like, I loved it.
Yeah.
I mean,
for losing weight.
Yeah, for losing weight and working out. Like, it got me
naturally is probably the best way to go.
Well, yeah. I mean, of course. I mean, I just got like there were just certain things, like certain products and supplements I bought from them.
Well, I just know that. I just mean that, like, a lot of those weight loss weight loss management pills or whatever.
Oh no, yeah, I wouldn't take any of those. It was like a protein shake.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant it was like a weight loss thing. I was like, those things bring up your heart rate like a motherfucker.
No. It was a protein shake and
Okay, I get you.
Yeah, stuff like that. You know, like kind of like stuff you would buy at GNC, but you have to buy it from someone who sells it.
Right.
And I just started working out with one of my good friends, Brandon, who's also good friends with Adam as well. And we were just working out in his backyard, flipping tires and just, running hills and doing what I got to do. And then my friend Matthew was the one who, since middle school, was always like, Drayze, you're really funny. And I was like, I don't know. And everyone would always tell me that too. My family, my friends, everyone who meets me, they're like, you're right. When you get to know me, I'm actually a pretty funny guy.
Your friend Matt who passed away.
Yeah. And so he always told me, like, you should be in funny movies or at least be a comic. And throughout our whole life, he would always tell me that, like, every time we would hang out, and I never took advantage of it. So I was like, in his honor, I'm gonna do it. And my goal was just to do one show, invite his family and invite everyone who knew him, who knows me, and do him proud, just make everyone laugh for that 5 minutes. Not only did I do really good, which was mind-blowing, because every one of my favorite comics, like, say they bombed their first night. I got a standing ovation from people who didn't even know me.
Awesome.
And it was like, wow. You know what I'm saying? I was like, okay, I don't know if that was Matt saying, okay, I'm gonna make all these people use my angel powers to make them all like you, or do I actually have a knack for doing this? And then I had a knack, and then I started going every other week to the comedy club. I started really, like, taking it more and more serious, writing down jokes, doing what I had to do. Sooner or later, I meet, there's this lady that goes to this comedy club, and she's just like, hey, I go outside to smoke my vape, and she goes outside and sees me. She's like, hey, Drayze, right? I was like, yeah. And she's like, I just saw you and you're really good. And I was like, oh, thank you. I'm thinking she's just a fan or something.
Right.
She's like, hey, my name is Mary, and I work at Alamo City Studios. I'm an agent. Have you ever thought about acting? And I was like...
And when was this?
This was probably like after... This was last year, like maybe November. Okay. October, November.
Oh, so somewhat recent, like 8 months ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I'm like, sure. You know what I'm saying? Like, that sounds dope. And then she gives me her card. I don't really take it serious or whatnot. She gives me her card and stuff, and then next thing I know, I get booked for a commercial and I get paid $400 2 weeks later. And I was like,
hell yeah.
All right.
There you go.
That was my first time getting paid for show business. Like, this isn't bad. I didn't even have a speaking part. I just walked past the guy who did, and then I got paid 4 bills. It's like, okay.
Really put them acting to work, right?
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, I really showed my range in that one. But then I just started getting booked for more and more things. Then my agent retired. So I'm like, okay, well, I had a good run, I guess, for this month or two. And then I thought they were just going to forget about me, because she represented so many people here all over Texas. And this new lady named Claudia Ramon, the younger lady, sent me an email. She goes, hey, Drayze, I'll be working with you and taking over Mary's clients. And she's like, call me sometime. I like to see who you are and just get to know you. And at this point, I'm thinking, well, now she doesn't know anybody. This lady's brand new. Okay, well, I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I can to make her love me. You know what I'm saying?
Pump this shit up.
So I bought her food. Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't give a shit what you call it, but I was doing whatever. I was like, yo, I want to make this work. So, of course, at the end of the day, she can't decide who casts who for what. She can just represent me. Right. But she always had me in mind. She always represented me all the time.
It doesn't hurt to be a favorite.
Exactly. And then I soon made my web series, because I wasn't getting casted for anything. I started making my web series just because I was like, I want to keep my acting chops going. Right. And I wanted to do a character I hadn't been in years, if not ever, really, to this extent. And we just created this situation. And now I'm doing a couple of more projects now. I got another web series that I'm going to be involved in called Gabby's Hacienda. I'm co-directing, and I'm also one of the main roles in that. And that's going to be pitched to Amazon.
And is the agency involved with these things?
Yeah, the agency.
With the Project Drayze?
No, that's all me.
That's all you?
That's all me. Like, me and Ty, really, we just make everything. We write everything, we storyboard, we film it, we edit it, Adobe Premiere, we do everything.
Right.
We have I have another project coming. I have like 2-3 short films coming out that I'm in, and it's just things have just been picking up, man. It's crazy. So that all started from that motivation of Matt's death.
Did you before you got on stage the first time, were you somebody that was pretty scared about standing up and trying to, in front of a crowd, trying to make them laugh? Or did you not really have a problem with that?
Well, that dynamic, yeah. But I've been on stage before. I was a guitar player back in high school. I was in a band. And
that's why you were an asshole.
Yeah, exactly. And we were actually pretty popular.
There you go.
And we used to play the White Rabbit all the time.
Oh, shit.
And we would
Look
have
at
like
you.
200-300 people come out and say, and I'm like 16 years old. I was a lead guitar player, and it went from me being this really quiet person in high school, didn't know anyone. I was like a sophomore, to meeting this guy named Philip Wolf, who's a big time rapper here now. He's blowing up now. He's actually in the Philippines right now doing a show. And he was walking down the hall with a group of his friends, and he's just like, sees me playing my acoustic guitar by myself. My hair kind of grows like slashes, the guitar player.
Yeah.
So I had my hair over my face, and I'm playing this guitar. I'm wearing like a slash shirt, all fucking whack. And he sees me, and he's like, he hears my riffs and stuff, and he's like, oh, and he just starts singing and rapping to it. And then we made a band that day, and was like,
So was he the singer in the band?
yeah, he was a singer.
And so what was the music you were playing? Was it rap or
Yeah,
was
it was like Gym Class Heroes.
Oh, okay.
That was our
so
favorite
like singing,
band.
rapping,
Yeah,
kind of.
it was like our favorite band. That was like the band that me and him loved very much. Like,
That's interesting.
So, and the cool thing about it was everyone in the San Antonio scene then was all pop punk.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that. Like everybody was trying to be Forever the Sickest Kids. Everybody wanted to be, All Time Low, or
Right.
Everyone wanted to be them. And we were like, well, we're gonna be something different. And when we went, we stole all the popularity because it was something.
So how
different.
did that come about? How did you get into? Does like the music scene have something like the equivalent of like stand up open mics, or did you just build like an audience doing smaller things first?
Yeah, like just playing guitar, getting on stage. That was fucking so petrifying.
At first it was.
Yeah,
Really?
it was, because you gotta remember Philip. I didn't tell you this. My bad. The reason why he was so popular in high school, who we also went to Roosevelt with me and Adam, was he was a backup dancer for Hannah Montana.
Jesus.
Yeah, so it was like he already had like this credibility. He already had an agent. Like he was doing acting first and like dancing and stuff. He could sing a little bit and all that, and he liked rapping for fun, but it was mainly like he already had this kind of like fan base.
Like a foot in the door.
Yeah,
already,
and so when he made a band, it was mostly for his benefit, he thought, but then like the Drayze character kind of started coming alive because of him.
Right.
And I was his right-hand man. We were like Slash and Axl pretty much. And no one really cared about the rest of the band. No disrespect to them. I love those guys. But it was like everyone thought of our band was called All Day. And All Day was like Slash. It was Philip and Drayze's band. That's pretty much people say,
Right.
Philip and Drayze's band. You know what I mean? Like they wouldn't even call our band name our band name.
It's the kind of the classic archetype, like no one gives a fuck about the drummers and shit.
Yeah.
It sucks because
And like our drummer was so good. I love
that's
him.
what sucks, because like, dude, there's so many. Dude, playing the drums is no joke either.
No, it
man.
is. My
Like,
brother plays drums, and
Yeah.
I see him practicing on his Pearl drum set like just all day, and I'm just like, God, I could not do that. You know what I'm
Sucks,
saying?
dude.
It sucks. And like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, but yeah, so
Hold on, I don't want to stop you, but do you think that if you were to put the drummer, like let's say you put the drummer and the drum set up like center front, that it would change everyone's? Do you think if they did that at first, like bands put the drummer up front, like where they were the mainstay on the stage, do you think that everyone's like idea of who the superstar was in the band would be different? Obviously the singer's always is like the quarterback,
Yeah.
but like let's say they put the guitar players in the back and then it was the drummer and the singer next to each other. Do you think that it'd be a different?
I think so, but then I think honestly, to be real with you, I think of the Fall Out Boy situation.
I don't know too much about Fall Out Boy.
Okay. So the whole Fall Out Boy situation is that like the girls are gonna be the main ones who follow music,
Right.
all for all. You know what I mean? Because like guys are gonna be fans of it, but like girls will mark out for music,
Right.
no matter what genre it is. If they like it, they like it. the Fall Out Boy situation is that like Pete Wentz was the bass player, but he was the best looking one. You know
So
what I
was
mean?
he the one that was
so
popular?
he was the popular one.
Ah, okay.
And so
you can't see the fucking drummer. Maybe he's a fucking hottie back there too.
I mean,
you don't
like,
know.
they're like pretty much gods now. I mean, like they sell out stadiums at this point of their career. Whenever they do put out music, I mean, they're just on that level of like, you know, forever just loved. But same thing with All Time Low. But like
Same thing with Every Day, bro.
Yeah. And but like Pete Wentz was the good looking one, and like he didn't sing, he didn't, you know what I mean? He played bass.
Just pluck some fucking strings.
Right? And so I think
he did probably the least amount of all of them, for sure, right?
So I think exactly.
The bass player does probably.
And
the
he was
least
always
amount
the
of work.
one in the front of the photo shoots, because when they got signed, they're like, okay, he's the handsome one, put him in the front.
All the other one looked like cavemen.
Yes. And it sucked because their singer is so great, and like he's just like always in the background.
I guess my hypothesis doesn't work. You just poked holes in all of it.
I think the fans are gonna choose who's a popular
right
one. You know what I mean? I think that's what's always gonna come. Like Travis Barker was known.
Oh, that's true.
Was the guy. You know, that's my brother's favorite drummer. I mean, he's always gonna be like, when you think of Blink-182, you think of Travis Barker.
Yeah, for sure. You're right.
So I mean, I think it just depends on the fans and what they think. But yeah.
Damn, I totally didn't even think about that. I should have thought about fucking Blink-182 because nobody knows. I don't even know what the other fucking guys' names are.
Exactly.
What are they? What the fuck names?
When you think of Blink-182, you think of
I can picture what the singer looks like, but I don't even know what his damn name is.
I just call it Travis Barker's band.
Yeah, you know that one band, Blink-180 Barker.
Yeah.
You know that Blink-180 Barker.
Wait, people wouldn't even say that. They're just like, oh, dude, Travis Barker was playing, and like his other bandmates will be.
Oh, you know what'd be crazy if that plane fucking crashed, right? And like all the other ones died, and it was just Travis Barker. Like, you know, it's shitty to say, but everyone would be like, oh, okay, well, Travis Barker.
Well, I mean, like, at least the band survived.
Well, everyone's first question would be like, did Travis Barker die? No. Oh, okay.
No, they would be like, oh yeah, everyone died except Travis Barker. Like, oh, okay, the band's okay.
They would be able to sleep that night. It's so fucked up.
It's so horrible, man.
This is why you can't rely on nobody, because everyone's gonna be just innately and just naturally like biased, you know.
Oh yeah, for sure. But you know, like, so what I was saying was, so my stage presence was there. It definitely grew, but we, you know, over time I got pretty good at just being on stage and rocking the crowd surfing. I mean, I have some videos of it on YouTube when I was like a teenager playing, and it just grew, you know. So being on stage and sing, but when I say the dynamic was different, was obviously you got to think about it, man. You're about to say a bunch of original jokes that hopefully make a bunch of people with different sense of humors laugh.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm saying a bunch of unheard jokes to different people with different senses of humor. That is so
you have
intimidating.
to kind of universally appeal to you know, and you're not gonna please everybody, but the point is
and
kind
usually
of getting
some
a
other
message
people's
across.
Laughs will carry on and make other people laugh too.
Yeah.
Like
mob mentality, bro.
Exactly. So you say something really funny and someone will laugh kind of funny, and then like someone else will get the bravery to laugh too, and they're like, oh, okay, that is kind of funny.
I had one glorious comeback. The last time I went and did the open mic, there was this, and for you know, for the story, you know, I don't, you know, I'm not a fucking racist person, but I have to say this dude was black, you know, so he was a black dude, and I guess, you know, some people do this. Like, I guess maybe he had scoped out the room before he went up on stage, and I guess he had some joke that involved Jesus in it. And I'm a long-haired, skinny white dude with, you know,
so you're
with
Jesus.
a beard. You know, sometimes I don't shave that much, so I looked like and he made some comment about Jesus or something like that, and involved me in it. And you know, that's whatever. I don't, you know, it's cool. I actually didn't even hear it because because you know how the open mics, the managers.
Was this at the one right by North Star Mall?
Yeah, the LOL. Some managers do it differently, where you pick cards, and that's how where they start from the top deck, low deck. You know your time that you're getting on. Some of them done it differently, but most of the time it's like the card thing. And so I wasn't going on till like 11:30. I was like way down the fucking. I was like 28, 29, 30 on the level.
I usually just go home.
I was pissed because I wake up at 5 in the morning to go to work already, and I'm not getting home till, you know, if you're on the, like at the bottom of the list, you ain't getting home till like 12, after 12.
Oh, for sure.
Fuck. So I actually left for like 2 hours to go like just, practice a little more and look it over and just watch some TV, try to take my mind off of it. And then I went back, and this dude that I know came up to me and said, "Hey, do you know that dude, blah blah?" And it's like, no, I don't really know him. He's like, oh, because I think he made some like joke about you or something like that. And I was like, well, what was it? Because I don't know. It wasn't like he was picking on you, but it was like he used you in his joke.
Yeah.
And so then I wasn't even going to say anything, but the guy actually, when I was on the stage, sat in that very front table.
Is he kind of loud?
In front of the stage, huh?
Is he kind of loud?
He's like a loud black dude.
Yeah, I know him. Yeah, I know him.
And so
I know exactly who you're talking about.
And anyways,
he just texted me like a week ago.
No, I don't know if he's the guy that you want to. I don't know. Anyways, but so then he had made some comment about. It wasn't him. It was at the table. At the table or whatever, made some comment, but I thought it was him because he's the one that put me in his joke or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I was in my set, and in the middle of I was like 30 seconds in, and then like somebody or him said something at the table, and I let it slide, just kind of like interrupting me or whatever. I let it slide, and I did it again, and it was really loud, and then they started laughing like at the table, like we're in the middle of a fucking set. And then so I go, "Hey, bro," I was like, "Do you mind?" And he goes, "Oh, my bad, bro." And then right after you said "my bad, bro," I was like, "Damn, dude, your voice is louder than the smell of coconut butter coming off your skin."
Damn.
Everybody fucking lost it because not only, it was like the best thing you could say in this moment. It was a black dude, coconut butter. It was fucking great. Came from nowhere. It was fucking great. But
I hope it was the Duckies because
he's kind of a fucking
he kind of.
This probably isn't the place to put people down. But.
Well, I'm not. I don't want to put him down either, but he definitely can be a little over the top.
He's like your character that you play in real life almost.
Yeah. I think he's a little less annoying than Ducky because Ducky's is like.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, but I know what you mean because he's done that to me too, and I've heckled him a little bit.
Yeah,
too,
it's like that, but I mean, it is. But that was like my one little heckle thing that. My one little victory. I never had anybody else really fuck with me.
Yeah, they usually don't.
Where else are you doing the open mics at? Do you ever go to the improv downtown and do them on Mondays?
No, I've been down there.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've done it a couple of times. Met some pretty good people there. I don't like that stage though.
I don't either.
It's just too big for an open mic.
Yeah,
it's so like, why would I? Damn well not. This place is not gonna be sold out.
I feel like there's ghosts behind me when I go to that fucking place.
Yeah, I've been there twice, and I was just like, I had pretty good sets for the 10 people that were there. It felt like 3 because how big the place is. Yeah. But it was fine. I'd rather do it at the one in North Park. I like Oak Tavern.
Where are they at?
That one's off Fredericksburg. It's an open mic on Wednesday nights.
Really?
Yeah, it's not the best. It's like a bar with like an open mic there.
Did people show up or what?
Yeah, people show up though.
I'm thinking me and you are gonna have to go do some open mics next week.
Yeah,
dude,
I'm down, man. I know my friend AJ Garces, who's really coming up as a comic, man. He's doing great. He kind of told me that I kind of pushed him to do it because he's always wanted to. He actually has a podcast too. They talk about anime on there, but. But I love anime, but it's just like I guess a show.
How far into a conversation about anime can you really get into?
What they do is they talk about the anime that they've watched or the episode review, and they talk about it. And each episodes or each. I don't know how they kind of do it, but they talk about a different anime each day.
Oh, no, I'm not hating on anime. That's cool. No. I'm just saying how just as like being a dude, like how far can you get into talking about anime before you start talking about like cartoon dicks and shit, Like before you start about like cartoon porn and shit,
comes. Yeah, I'm sure.
You have to start talking about it.
But yeah, man, and he's doing great, man. Like he's been booking shows like crazy, and he's been asking me to come, do something, but like my acting, like I got short films that I'm doing. Some of them are going to be in the film festivals next year and stuff. So it's just a bunch of stuff I'm doing, like, because acting is always what I wanted to do. That was my goal in life. Stand up was my therapy. You know, stand-up was my therapy because
I agree with that.
There was many times in life where I wanted to kill myself, especially even when I was in my relationship, not because of her, but just because I just couldn't stand me. But then I couldn't tell you how many times I popped on Chris Rock or Eddie Murphy and I just laughed my ass off to sleep, and it just helped me. You know what I mean? Richard Pryor is the god. It was just kind of like watching him lay all his demons out there and joke about it was godly to me, because it was just like, yo, you don't understand how brave that is to do, especially someone that's famous, that's in the spotlight, who's made millions, but also tells you about like how he shoves it up his nose. You know what I'm saying?
About being that vulnerable.
Exactly.
And other than Chris Rock, which, you know, I don't think there's, I mean, you said, well, actually, you know, Chris Rock's
my favorite comic, but Richard Pryor is like the god. Chris Rock's my favorite, and then Eddie Murphy and Dave Chappelle are like right up there too. Like,
yeah, there's this kind of common theme, you know, it's not with all of them, but a lot of stand-ups is this common theme, you know, of, you know, serious depression. What I guess the reason I don't try to make the podcast, you know, it's sort of a free form, like unstructured format. I'm really just, other than you and Adam, every other person I've had on the podcast were complete strangers. I approached them in their environment and tried to get them into the podcast, you know, because I felt like, you know, it's way harder to tell somebody to fuck off when they're in front of your face than if you were to hit them up on Instagram. But it's just that I try to analyze this a lot because, you know, life is so crazy that about whether or not all of the choices that we make, you know, whether that be to be sad or the feelings that we have on a daily basis, whether they're a choice, whether they're situational, because obviously, you know, you can, and I relate this all the time to people who are morbidly obese. There are people who have legitimate like metabolic issues where they just cannot lose weight. And so for a person to approach some morbidly obese person and call them a lazy piece of shit because they're fat, well, that's really kind of irrelevant, you know, because that person on a biological level cannot shed that weight, you know. And so I really try to analyze when not just with myself but with other people that I talk to, because mental health is a huge issue I mean, I think people are scared to talk about it because
I think everybody deals with it.
I think for sure everybody deals with it. It's for sure, but there's just such this terrible negative taboo about talking about mental health that it can, you know, that people have this idea that, oh, if you even say the word mental health, then people just think you're crazy. But it's like, if someone were to say that they have that, you know, the same thing, if they were just morbidly obese, they can't lose the weight, well, then you would feel bad about calling them a fat piece of shit, right? So there are these situations that we get into, you know, when you have elevated cortisol levels because you're stressing out like crazy, when you're down, your serotonin levels are down, you know, and you're just feeling like a pile of shit, and those are on the same level as that fat person. They're biological hindrances that we can't even we can change. We have tools to change it: healthy eating, working out, shit like that. We have tools to change it, but it's just kind of difficult to sit here and analyze every situation and every person in your life. So it's not something that's a high priority on people's list. And especially with mental health, you know, I didn't want to make this podcast, you know, about mental health, you know, because I was for so long scared about talking about mental health, I've been an anxious fucking person. Like, I'm talking about like the first fear that I have every morning, or the first thought I have every morning is fear. Like literally it doesn't matter. I could, you know, unless I was on a beach somewhere in Hawaii, then there would just be, you know, because there's no worries. But in real life, on a daily basis, literally fear is 100% a part of my day, all day. I mean, I can sit here and look at you and we can have this great conversation, and you can walk in here and after just meeting you, and you can look in my face and say and think that I'm this confident person, but I'm literally always high strung and always anxious. So
I get you. I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, go.
I was gonna say, you know, I'll be real with you. If it wasn't for me talking about it, I'd be dead.
That's exactly where I was going with it, man.
I'd be dead because I've attempted suicide twice. You know, I took like 20 Xanax, or probably even more. I can't even tell you how much I did. It wasn't for my ex, who I was actually with, the one I was talking about that left me. She actually left her wallet in my car, and I was parked in a parking lot. We had just got into a fight. And I had something I had to tell her. This was like in 2015, and I had something to tell her, and I was just so sad. And I don't really want to talk about exactly what I needed to tell her, but it had nothing to do with her. It was something that I was going through that I was trying to hide from her for the longest. But she was just like so selfish. Just always wanted to have the last word. Didn't want to hear me. Blah blah blah. And I never cried in front of her. I never, show any type of emotion. But I thought for the first time, in like a year of us already dating, a year and a half of us already dating, I want to tell her something that I've been dealing with, and it has something to do with my mother when I was a kid, and it had just been haunting me, and but we had gotten into an argument about something stupid, and I was just trying to like let the argument pass because I thought this would be something that like, I don't care. Like I just need to tell you something. I apologize. I'll make whatever you want better. You know what I mean? Like whatever. Right. And she just was like, I don't have time to hear your shit. And she like left the car, and she starts walking to her neighborhood because we had pulled over to this church that was right down the road from where she lived, and a couple of blocks. And she left her wallet in my like passenger door driver's seat, and I didn't know she left it, but I was just in the car and I started crying for the first time in years. Like I hadn't cried in so fucking long.
Really?
And yeah, because I just don't show emotion. Like I try, like I'll laugh, but I love humor, but as far as like those darker emotions, I don't show anyone that I cry, and I try not to cry myself. Like I'm sure there's times where I teared, but nothing like finally letting it out. And I just busted out crying. And one of the things I was gonna tell her is that I'm an addict. That like I'm a Xanax addict, and like I need help. But the other thing I was gonna tell her was something else about my mother. And I grabbed this little stash of Xanax I had, like these, the school buses or whatever, and I just fucking drowned. I drowned them all down. Like I was prescribed them too, and I never told anyone, my doctor or my parents, that like I was addicted to these things, because this prescription is what got me addicted. Right. But I loved it, so I was like, you
weren't gonna tell anybody you had a problem with it.
Yeah. So, I would just down them. I just downed it, and like I don't know how many pills I took. Well, I was sitting in the car for a while, and I don't really remember what happened after that, but I never left that parking lot. And next thing I remember, I was in the hospital. And I'm sitting there in the ER or whatever, and I woke up, and I was about to say her name, but my ex was sitting there, my grandparents were sitting there, and they were just crying. And they told me how they helped me, how she saved me and all that kind of stuff. And then I finally told her like what I had to tell her, and they ended up admitting me. And I told them that I'm an addict, and I told them that like I don't. The doctor asked me in front of everyone, Drayze, why did you do that? And I was like, I don't know. And he was like, this is the time to tell me. And then for the first time I cried in front of everyone. I was like, because I don't want to fucking live anymore. And this was the first time she's hearing this, first time my family's hearing this, and they're just like, they don't know what to do, because I'm always laughing, I'm always making everyone laugh, but I'm like, I'm not.
You're just hiding all those other dark emotions.
Exactly. And so I go to a psych ward for like 3 weeks. It's mandatory in the state of Texas that you have to be admitted to a psych ward for at least 72 hours. Yeah. Well, they kept me there for like 3 weeks, and I could only use the telephone like once a day. I had no cell phone, nothing. People can visit me only on Sundays for like an hour, and I can only have 2 guests.
Sounds more like fucking prison.
Yeah,
to me.
It was pretty bad. And like I had this roommate that he was like 26. I was like 22 at the time. He was like 26. He was schizophrenic, and he was my roommate. and he would just scream all night, and I would just lay in my bed with my pillow, you know what I'm saying, like just like fucking kill me.
Like, where's those Xanax at now?
Exactly. And so like the nurses would have to come in and give him like 100 pills, and he would finally be sedated enough to just like chill the fuck out. And I'm just sitting there like, oh my fucking god, oh my god. So it was a rough situation.
Can I ask you, I mean, this is going to be for sure a very personal question.
No,
I don't know if you've ever asked yourself this, but does it worry you? I mean, I don't know if you're still in this same kind of, I mean, those feelings kind of, I mean, once you've experienced something like that, you always can kind of recollect those feelings. But does it worry you that you were able to pull the trigger like that in a metaphorical way? I mean, I know you downed pills, but you essentially pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
You know how, so many people want to kill themselves, or they half-ass go through it because they just want attention, but you just fucking did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
no.
Does it worry you that you just pulled the trigger like that?
Yeah. Well. That is a crazy question.
I mean, sorry, I'm a fucking
no,
weirdo.
I love it. I'd never even thought about that. That's pretty interesting.
That's why I said I know it's gonna be a fucking. It's gonna be a deep question.
That's a question and a half.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess so. Yeah.
Do you think that maybe? Do you think maybe? Well, the reason I said what I said afterwards is that you were younger then, right?
Yeah,
I mean, think about how many people, how many of these fucking kids before they're even. I mean, it's actually. I mean, it's literally. On a biological level, our brains are not fully formed until we're about 26. Mm-hmm. And you hear about all these stories about teenagers killing themselves, 15-year-old kids and 13-year-old girls, whatever the fuck it is, and it's such a shame because. We're in this world where everything's so transparent, and there's so much reach that we're dealing psychologically with so much more stimulus that it's just kind of scary that I firmly believe that the mental health is at at the height it is now because of technology and all these social media platforms, for sure.
Well, yeah, everyone's comparing themselves.
Exactly.
When you get on Instagram and you see these like super hot chicks,
and it's only in their best light.
Yeah, it's always in their best light.
How many pictures did that take?
Yeah, and then they always like the nicest bodies and shit like that, and they always have like the nicest car around them,
right?
And it's always like you gotta and because they have so many followers, people think, oh, that must be something real, that must be just how they live now. It's like I use social media as inspiration.
Right.
I use it as like, if that is real, I want to be like that guy. You know what I'm saying? I want to be have that body. I want to, you know what I'm saying? Or I just want to have someone around me that takes good pictures of me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, to be real with you, I mean, I can barely, my selfies are horrendous. So.
You gotta account for the shades.
Yeah, I have to, I mean, I'm half black. I have to, I have to use the sun's equator and shit.
I keep thinking about that. You probably always got the flash on.
Yeah, oh, dude. I mean, it's not as bad as like other people, but I mean, I'm not dark, but I'm not light either,
right.
I guess. But the thing is like, I totally agree with it. But back to that first question, the big question you told me, just to give you a little bit more perspective on it. I think it doesn't bother me that I was down, because I feel like it shows that like I wasn't trying to get attention, sure, but also it shows that like I was really going through something. That was
absolutely
real. That was real. And the thing is like I'll tell you one thing. So that was the second time I attempted suicide. The first time was Matthew was involved, my friend who died.
Right.
And he was involved because he kind of talked me out of it in a sense. Because it was also with pills and stuff too. I had tried to kill myself with it was with Oxycontin this time though, and I had never really tried Oxycontin in my life. Don't want to, but I had gotten I got my hands on it, and I had took like 14 of them, and I was trying to kill myself. This was like when I was about 19. This is right before I met the chick that I ended up being with for 4 years, and when I did that and went to the hospital, went to a psych ward, all that whole thing, for the first time, and got out. And I met with Matt, and Matt was so pissed at me. And he comes up to me, and we're just talking. And he's like, look, you can either cry about your problems, and you can feel sorry for yourself. And he was like, and you can leave and betray everyone who loves you, because what you're doing is selfish. And he was like, I love you, your other friends love you, your family loves you. Like, everyone here loves you, dude. Like, you are literally the life of the party. You're the funniest guy I know. Like, if you're going through something, talk to us, because when you hide your feelings, no one knows and sees it coming. We're blindsided. And he was just like, so you can either do that or next time use a gun. That's exactly what he told me.
Be a fucking man about it.
Exactly. Be a fucking man. Just use a gun, because I'm sure you might not wake up from that one. That's just how real he was as a friend.
That's a great fucking way to put it.
And so he was like, you're either going to motivate yourself, get the fuck up off your ass, and take advantage of the fact that everyone loves you, and take advantage of the fact that you're not in jail. You're not, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have any kids. I still don't have any kids, but I want some one day, but not right now. The point is, though, is that you have your freedoms, right? Like, go all the way out with it. Go all the way in becoming what you want to do. Don't take yourself out. You know what I'm saying? But if you are going to do it, fucking do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Be a fucking man about it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, goddamn.
What do you say to that? That's probably the greatest. That's the best advice.
And that's the kind of guy he was. You know what I mean?
Okay, so I mean, you can tell me no or to fuck off if I get too personal.
No, I'm just this combo, so it's cool. I haven't talked about this probably ever like this.
Well, you'll probably get the impression that I think quite often about these sort of things. Like everybody, I have my own struggles, and
for sure. No.
Sometimes it's hard to understand. Like, you're right. I have all these things. I have a lot of things going for me. It really isn't that bad. So why am I so fearful or anxious or stressed out or depressed or whatever it is? And so I guess the question is do you feel or did you ever feel in the past like do you possess all these other emotions, or is it just, like you said you feel sadness, you said you feel happiness, all, this spectrum of emotions. Do you think that where the issue lied was just that you were bottling up all these negative things, and that was what was causing this intense, overwhelming feeling of just, fuck it, cut it all out, I'm going to end it?
Well, if you're asking me, like, pretty much where the depression started?
No, not necessarily where it started, but I mean, okay, I guess I can just stop beating around the bush. You feel sadness and happiness, right? Like, you feel the full spectrum of emotions.
Yeah.
Or is it just like, because people who are legitimate, like people who are like chemically depressed, like severely chemically depressed, they have these issues where they literally have such a deficiency of these chemicals like serotonin and dopamine that they just don't feel the desire to be happy or, or even sad.
That sounds more like what, because pretty much the second one you said, because
you feel the second one, like you feel like you feel like a lack of those emotions. Yeah,
exactly. I feel like I wouldn't say right now because of the practices,
but more in the past.
But more in the for sure. I mean, I definitely feel like back then, I never could be happy.
So why do you think now, or as of somewhat recently, you feel so motivated and you feel like you can get yourself up out of bed and
because my friend passing away, the girl leaving me,
everything in perspective
exactly. And then also I finally got over what was always on my mind. There was one thing that involved my mother that always just fucked with me. And I mean, I can tell you it's not.
No, you don't have to say anything you want to say.
No, I mean, I was gonna tell you anyways. I guess that's what your question was, like, where did it all start?
You can throw it out there. I'm just
my mother abandoned me when I was like 6 years old.
Well, that'll do it.
And I was like on the streets as a 6-year-old.
Well, that's
so
that's probably a big piece of the puzzle right there, brother.
Right. And so it was just one of those things where my little brother, who's my half brother, his family, who has taken care of me ever since. My father was Spaniard. He was killed like a week after I was born. He was in the mafia. My mom's black. She just didn't really make the best decisions. You know what I'm saying? But she kind of used her looks to get what she wanted in life. But she's doing great now. You know, we were great. But back then, you know.
So you have a relationship with her now?
No, yeah, very recently. Yeah, we just finally started like coming around, and like she had been trying for years because she knew what she did to me was horrible. And when I have my other brother, that's my half brother, that's his family that took me in. Me and him grew up together. Right. But my 4 other siblings that live with my mother and her new husband. She's done really well with them, and she kind of did everything right that she didn't do right with, especially me, but also with my other second little brother, you know, and second oldest brother. And she's been doing whatever she can. She's gotten right with God. She's, you know, gotten good spiritually. And she's done whatever she can to reach out to us and try to, like, you know what I mean? So we've been coming around, but then it was heartbreaking. I mean, you know, I get abandoned. They take me in. Pretty much I was raised by a family that's none of them are my blood, but they treated me like family. And that's why I call them grandma, granddad, you know, dad, things like that. And all my life I always was chasing her, you know, and it was always like, why doesn't my mom love me?
Chasing that approval.
Exactly. Well, it wasn't the approval, but it was like, why don't you just want me? Right. Like, and her reasons was because I looked so much like my biological father. Like, I look pretty much like a half black version of him. Right. And, you know, she loved him, and he betrayed her and left back to Spain, just left her. And she was heartbroken. So when I was born, you know, I looked so much like him that she just never cared about me. And I'm the oldest. And so it was just like, you know, and as through time, you know, don't get me wrong, I had an amazing time with the family I have now, and they raised me since pretty much I was, you know, 8, 9 years old. But the thing is like, there was this haunting question I had in the back of my head, like, why doesn't my mom want me? Of course. You know, like, and for a long time, even especially recently, as I got to get closer to my other siblings who love me, like, I mean, I love my siblings to death. I mean, they're so great. They're all in high school, and so my youngest sibling, 7, she's so beautiful. Like, they love me to death, and I love them, and we have this amazing bond. And I don't tell them what happened to me and our mom, but there were times, even when they were young and they were like, you know, like elementary kids, around that whole time as they were growing up, it was always me who would have to call these 100 different numbers my mom would give me. You know what I'm saying? Like, she would change her number all the time, not to avoid me, because she couldn't keep a phone bill, you know, and she couldn't pay her phone bills. And it was me at like 13, 14, 15, 16, 12 years old, just calling her, trying to get, you know what I'm saying, like some type of like connection with her, calling my other family members on my mom's side, like, hey, have you seen my mom, blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, she was, you know what I'm saying, she just talked to me the other day, and it's like, well, can you tell her to call me? I'm like a 13-year-old kid asking.
Yeah, that's pretty savage.
Yeah. And so when I'll never forget this. Now, this was the start of my depression. Like, my depression was already there, but then this was when it went fucking extreme. Was when I was 16 or 17 years old, around there. I was just about to graduate high school. Yeah, so I was probably 17. And I found this number in my drawer. It was like this drawer. I call it the drawer of numbers, because this was like all these numbers my mom had, and it was in my room as a kid. And I grabbed one of the numbers. It was the most recent pile, and I grabbed one and I prayed for like the first time in a long time. And even though my family is God-fearing family, like, I just never took it serious. But I finally was like, God, like, I just want to talk to my mom. And I called that number, and it rang. And I was like, holy shit. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, maybe someone else got this number now, whatever. Lord and behold, it's my mom's voice. And I'm like, Mom? And she's like, who's this? And I was like, it's Andres, you know what I mean? And she's like, oh, hey, like, she sounded really friendly, and like we just had a conversation. And for the first time ever, we had a conversation. And it was like a 30-minute convo, and we were laughing, and I was telling her about my band, and I was telling her about all these cool things I was doing. I was asking if she was gonna be at my graduation, because I graduated when I was 17 years old. And she was just like, you know. And then out of nowhere, I'll never forget this for the rest of my life, I was like, Mom, can I ask you something? She was like, yeah, what's up, son? And I said, like, why were you never here, you know? And this is legitimately her words. She said, how old are you now? And I said, I'm 17. And she goes, you're about to graduate high school, right? I was like, yeah. And she's like, you're about to get a new car? And I was like, yeah, well, we're going car shopping. And I'm thinking, what the fuck is she trying to say? And she's like, you going to go to college? And I was like, yeah. And she goes, that means you're pretty much a man. You should just get the fuck over it.
Jesus.
I swear to God, on my grandfather's life, who's my best friend in the world, that is exactly what she told me. And from that point on, bro, the drugs came like crazy. Like, every time I was at a show that I was playing from my band, I was always offered drugs, and I always turned it down because I was like, no. That was the first time I took Xanax. That was the first time I started drinking. That was the first time, because I could have gotten all these things throughout the years of playing. And we broke up. Our band broke up my senior year. Right after I graduated, we broke up. So these last like 7 months of my school year, I just binged and raged, and it was like pretty much really living that rock star life towards the end. And it was like at that point, that was finally like something that told me, like, my mother does not give a fuck about me.
Yeah, like,
you know?
so you kind of lived up until that time that she dropped you off on that curb, metaphorically, if that's however it went, up until that end of that conversation where she said that shit. You were living like this kind of self-fulfilling prophecy out of hope. Yeah. And then whenever that last fucking bit of hope, was taken, and you saw for what it was, that was just...
It was over. And so that was the start of my drug use. That was the start of my everything.
How often do you think nowadays, like, after, you've had some distance from these negative things and you've gotten older, you probably still think about these things naturally, but, since you have distance now and you can kind of look at them in for what they were in a different way, being that it's been some time, do you ever actually sit and just think back and kind of laugh to yourself like, holy shit, man, I've been through some fucking shit?
Oh yeah, all the time. But
does that dude, before this I don't even know you, and after hearing like everything you said, like, I want to go fucking run like 600 miles right now. Like, I'm feel like, so I guess what I'm getting at is, man, that's, you've seen a lot of darkness, man.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think that's what brought my attitude in high school too, was that I was such a dick then and cocky and all that, because I never had anything to be proud of other than my band. You know what I mean? I had nothing else. I was just a guitar player who loved Slash and Jimi Hendrix and Kurt Cobain, who's like another godlike figure to me. And Nirvana is my favorite band of all time, and it was just like, I want to make music because this is the only way I can feel everything they're saying, especially when Kurt used to sing. It was like, I feel all this pain, and
but now since, it's depending on how you look at it, man, like, yeah, you've definitely been through some fucking crazy shit, like some real, you've been through shit that would have defeated probably 50% of people, like, but do you put that in perspective now and kind of, are you proud? Do you have motivation off of it? Because it's a victory, man. And it could have, shit, 2 times it could have been a fucking defeat for sure,
For sure. Yeah.
That's just,
that story with my mom haunts me still. Like, as I was saying it, I was getting chills because that really happened on everything that I love that happened. And I told my mom that recently when we finally we had a lunch or whatever, and we talked about it, and she cried. She was in tears. I had never seen my mom cry like that.
Well, people change.
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
she knows. She kind of knew what I was talking about, because she says she remembers that day every day, because she knew. Because she said after she said that, she cried.
Right.
Because she hung up after she said that. And she said that her reason was because she wanted me to get over her, because she knew that she
So
said
you
that,
could do better in life and not be held back.
And she was like, she said that she knew that she knew I was like trying to place, I was chasing after her.
Right.
She would hear from her family members like, oh, your son's trying to call you and all that. Like, she would purposely avoid me, because she said that she knew she did me wrong, but for some reason, like, no matter how much wrong she did to me, like, this kid loves me so fucking much.
Yeah.
And it was like, you're my mother, dude. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have a father. Like, I don't even know none of my father's family. I don't even know they even know me. You know what I mean? Like, I never seen him, met him, whatever. Like, you are like my only bloodline.
Yeah.
Like, why? I mean, I love the family that raised me, but like, at the end of the day, like, they aren't my blood, and
exactly.
It's like, but my blood is here, and you just won't be around. It's like, why won't you? And that was very disturbing.
Well, just from an outside person, outside looking in, just from hearing it, like I said, dude, I was that extremely captivating, dude. Like, I got chills when you were, talking about that story. Just as a person from the outside looking in, which sometimes that doesn't mean shit, but just to pass it on to you, dude, that's motivation, that's inspiration for me. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean to make your situation selfish, but I think that you should take that as, I think you should wear that. Like, you should definitely wear that and embrace it, because I think that you have knowledge and experience that most people will never experience. And I think that that's a powerful tool to use, and especially in becoming successful. That's fucking beautiful, man. Yeah.
That's the goal.
What is life? Life only comes from one thing, fucking death. Things that die create life. Mm-hmm. And take that as a fucking metaphor if you'd like, but that, although that's extremely negative, man, that's very inspirational. That, and that's the reason I asked you that question. Like, do you sit here and analyze all those feelings and those situations and use them now? Are you thankful and you feel motivated and inspired to, fuck this life up now that you have, And in a good way.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I ask.
Well, yeah, no, I feel that is definitely motivation. I see it more now, and especially after those three things happened, and I always, and then me and my mom finally making amends, that was just like, okay, like, I'm gonna go forward. And my mentality is like, I've always wanted to be an actor. I just didn't know how to go about it. And when I got into comedy, that was my therapy to deal with what I was going on. And then guess where that led? That led to me getting an agent. You know what I'm saying? So I think all this is a domino effect. And my thing is that from now on, I told myself, Drayze, you're either going to become an actor or you're going to die trying.
Right.
That's literally my mindset now. Like, you're going to become the successful actor and do what you've always wanted to do, or you're going to die trying. Because, if I am going to die tomorrow, know that, like, I was doing stand-up. I was in a short film. I have my web series going. I have, what I'm saying? That's me making steps and motivation for myself and progress for myself to get to that level. And maybe I wasn't a household name, sure, but I died trying to be one.
Right.
And that's all I care about now, man. Like, so yeah, to answer your question, all of this is motivation, everything. And honestly, I wanted to be on your podcast because I had never told anyone all this. Yeah. So I was like, this would be a good opportunity to just get it all off my chest. Like, fuck it, let's just go balls out.
Fucking do it, man. Yeah. And you know what? Just much of like how you're, the success that you're finding now. What we don't understand is that, man, all these opportunities that were like, how the fuck did this happen? Or like good things happen for people. It only happened because they fucking tried. And if you don't try, nothing's ever gonna fucking happen. But if you try, like you were just doing stand up, and what fell into place? What you really wanted to do. You didn't try to make it fall into place. It only fell into place because you tried something.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, people always talk about like when they see, I don't know, like for example, I don't know, some famous actor on TV, like a Brad Pitt, you know what I'm saying? They see Brad Pitt on TV and you're watching one of his classic movies or one of his new ones, or, you know, whatever he's in. People go, or they see his house or they see his net worth and they're just like, man, dude, I wish I could do that. It's like, those guys are just people too. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, if I cut his wrist, he's going to bleed like me. Exactly. I promise you. So like, don't think of it as like they were just perfectly chosen to do this. Like, this is just what they were doing from birth. Like, no, man, like they worked hard, they got a little lucky, and they were blessed, and they were at the right time, place at the right time. But the thing is, every day they were trying. Just try. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
That's what it is, peeps. All right, man, we're gonna wrap this shit up. But man, I gotta tell you that whenever I was approached, I guess, or, you know, you would hit me up and then Adam had, you know, backed you up, you definitely had some shit to say. And it was, I think that a lot of people are going to listen to this and they're going to be motivated. And like I said, I did not initially set out to have this podcast about mental health or whatever, but that fell into place because I kind of discovered, with the same way you'd never told anybody about all these feelings, man, I've said more shit on this microphone that I probably should have never said, man. But the point is dude, this is one of my favorite podcasts I've done. Just not even the fact that it's a podcast.
It's my first one.
Just there you go. Just the conversation, man. So thanks for doing it, dude. Thanks for reaching out and